Hi, everyone. Welcome to Books with Butterscotch. My name is Jordan, and this is Butterscotch, my bunny friend. Now, Butterscotch, do you remember that today is a Jewish holiday? Yes? Today is Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. Now, Butterscotch, one of the traditions of Rosh Hashanah is to blow on the shofar. That's a special horn with a loud call. And another tradition is to eat apples with honey. We eat sweet foods, so we'll have a sweet new year. I have a story here about a little girl who's looking forward to blowing her shofar and eating apples and honey for Rosh Hashanah, but her apple orchard gets an unexpected visitor. Have you ever heard of the Sasquatch? Well, a Sasquatch is sometimes called Bigfoot, too. It's a big, hairy monster that they say lives in certain parts of the United States. Oh, but don't be scared. Most people think they're just make-believe. And besides, the Sasquatch in this story isn't scary. He's actually pretty funny. This book is called Miriam and the Sasquatch. It was written by Eric A. Kimmel and illustrated by Tamra Anagon. Are you ready to listen, Butterscotch? Good. Miriam and the Sasquatch. Miriam looked over the apple orchard. Autumn leaves were turning yellow and gold. The beehives were full of honey. The apples were ready to pick. Rosh Hashanah was coming. Miriam imagined all the apples and honey on her family's holiday table as she waited for their guests to arrive. Miriam didn't come to the orchard just to pick apples. She also came to practice blowing her shofar. She could practice in the orchard without hurting anyone's ears. Miriam stood under an apple tree. She took a breath and blew. Tekia, Shevarim, Teruah. She heard a sound above her head. It wasn't a shofar. Munch, crunch, munch, crunch. What was making that noise? Miriam looked up into the apple tree. Munch, crunch, munch, crunch. There sat a Sasquatch munching away at the apples. Stop eating our apples. We need them for Rosh Hashanah, Miriam shouted. Munch, crunch, munch, crunch. The Sasquatch stared at her. It went back to eating apples. Leave our apples alone. Miriam shook her fist at the Sasquatch. The Sasquatch shook its fist at Miriam. It kept eating apples. Munch, crunch, munch, crunch. That Sasquatch will eat all our apples, Miriam said. How can I get it to go away? Miriam remembered a story from the Bible. If a shofar can bring down the walls of Jericho, I bet it can chase away a Sasquatch. Miriam raised the shofar. She blew as loud as she could. Tekia, Gedola. The Sasquatch stared at Miriam. It cupped its hands to its mouth and gave out a mighty howl. Ooh-yah! Ooh-ah! Miriam had to cover her ears. The Sasquatch went back to eating apples. Munch, crunch, munch, crunch. That's enough. You can't eat all our apples. Miriam picked up an apple. She threw it at the Sasquatch. The Sasquatch caught the apple. It threw it back at Miriam. Miriam ducked. The apple whizzed over her head. It slammed into a beehive. Bees swarmed out of the hive. The Sasquatch jumped out of the tree and ran for the pond. Miriam ran too. She'd be safe in the pond. Bees don't swim. Miriam slipped on an apple. Down she went. Angry bees swarmed around her. Help, Miriam shouted. The Sasquatch turned around. It picked up Miriam and raced for the pond. The Sasquatch jumped in the pond. It stayed in the pond with Miriam until the bees went away. You saved me from the bees even after I threw apples at you, even when I wouldn't let you eat any. I didn't even think that you might be hungry, Miriam said to the Sasquatch. The Sasquatch shrugged. It held out its hand to Miriam. Hand in hand, they walked back to the orchard. The Sasquatch climbed an apple tree. This time, it didn't go munch, crunch. It picked apples and handed them to Miriam. We can pick apples together, said Miriam, and you can eat as many as you want. Rosh Hashanah arrived. Miriam helped her family get ready for the holiday. There was challah and rugula and honey cake. And apples and honey for everyone, family and friends. old and new. The end. I hope everyone enjoyed that Rosh Hashanah story. Stay tuned for more great books with Butterscotch. Bye-bye.